The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. We have the greatest experts. Our first show today, it's normally would be a sad topic, but because we've got such a wonderful expert in the field of tax relief, you're going to learn so much today. And I actually had a friend of mine listen to yesterday's show where we had our expert on, attorney Kevin Benjamin. And he called me up right after the show. And he told me, he said, that I've never received so much great information. I learned things that no one's ever told me about. And he said, if I ever get in a situation that attorney Kevin Benjamin would be the first one I would call. But he loved the show, and that's why I'm so grateful that we've got Kevin. Let me introduce you. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. I just got out of the biggest traffic jam. I'm sure you're used to those in Chicago, but oh my God, it was the worst I've ever seen. I've never run so fast in my life, but we're here. And Kevin, I got to tell you, my friend yesterday in Dallas, who listened to your show, said he thought you've been doing this for like 5 to 10 years. So you did a great job on the show. But your knowledge is so amazing, Kevin. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm sure you hear this a lot. When you've got the IRS on your back, it's got to be the worst feeling in the world. But when you have an attorney representing you like Kevin, wow, he could just his words and knowledge alone can take so much of that pressure off of you. And we really appreciate you, Kevin. Tell everybody about yourself and your firm.
Well, thanks, Phil. Thanks, Stephen. Kevin Benjamin. I'm an attorney. We concentrate in IRS representation, tax resolution, helping individuals and also businesses resolve tax issues or disputes with the IRS, or appeal rulings, or represent them in the tax court, whatever needs to be done. So that's Noble Tax Relief. I'm also an attorney. We have a law firm, and we also do bankruptcies and litigation. I'm a member of the federal trial bar as well as the U.S. tax court and some other things. Bankruptcy actually kind of got me started with the tax. A lot of people, when they're in debt, the IRS or the state taxing agency. So sometimes you could discharge them in bankruptcy, which people don't know, but sometimes you can. But when that happened, it happened. But when we filed cases for bankruptcy for people and it wasn't dischargeable, when the case was over, the rest of the debt would be dischargeable. And then we would just simply resolve the IRS issues or state taxing agency issues, mostly IRS. And what most people don't understand is the IRS will make a deal with you. There's programs to help pay or help relieve. Even if you think you can't pay everything, you may not have to. you may not have to pay anything. It's what they call a currently non-collectible status also. So people think, you're overwhelmed. They don't open the mail. They don't know what to do. The IRS is mandated to, if you qualify for programs, to put you in the program and resolve tax debt and get what they can. That's reasonable. And there's different parts of the collection process, and maybe you got a lien, or maybe you're being levied, or maybe you got assets seized, and or maybe you're in criminal. That's a little different. But usually just owing the money is not criminal by itself. So that's what we do. Noble Tax Relief, we just represent people in businesses and help and negotiate debt with the IRS and resolve tax issues amicably, and put people on payment plans or offering compromises they could afford, or partial pay installments. There's 3 or 4 regular programs offering compromise, installment agreement, the currently non-collectible status, penalty abatement. But in those programs, there's sub-programs too, like offering compromise, dispute as to liability, or dispute as to collectability. There's an installment agreement, full pay, there's partial pay. There's different thresholds. Sometimes you need documents, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you got to be in direct pay with them. All kinds of little extra things in there. But generally speaking, you're just resolving the tax debt in one of the main programs, or getting a currently non-collectible status, which could be up to 2 years, where they won't lien you, garnish you, sue you. They'll just back off. You still owe the money, but they review you in 2 years. And what people got to understand is the IRS only has a certain amount of time to actually collect on your debt. It's 10 years. It's called the CSED, the collection expiration statute deadline, collection statute expiration date. So when you're negotiating with the IRS, one of the first things you want to do is what tax you may owe X dollars, but it could be for several years. So you want to, how much per each year? What is the CSED, the statute of limitation for each year? Because sometimes, depending on where you're at on the statute, maybe you just want to let it run out, or sometimes if you're doing something in the planning situation, they may want to have a statute hold had you agree to it, depending on your facts and circumstances. Maybe we agree to it, maybe we don't. So that's why you need a professional. There's all kinds of loopholes in there, and what to do, and how to advise you. But basically, it's a negotiation and cash flows. Money in, money out, assets, liquidation, exemptions, what they call the IRS standards. You're negotiating expenses, how much. We say we have X dollars, they say you have Y dollars, because they're saying we're taking too much of an expense, or that's part of the negotiation. Sometimes you have assets that have equity, but they're not really liquid, or maybe there's some equity, but maybe on your house, but not enough to actually get refinanced on. So it doesn't really count. Then you have other issues like if liquidating or something else is paying them is too much, will give you a hardship, they won't liquidate it. So don't be afraid of the IRS. That's why you get a professional. Just because you get a notice of levy or seizure, because if no one's talking to the IRS, they're just saying, you owe me the money, I'm coming, right? They don't know that, if I take your house here in the street, or, all these other things that will cause you a hardship, and they can't do it per the Internal Revenue Manual and their mandate. So people don't understand that. But that's why you have a professional. IRS is a scary, very powerful, biggest powerful collection agency in the world. And with $80 billion of new money behind them, agents, they're coming. And especially coming in January 2024. The pandemic relief, the slowdown of the letters and stuff, that's over as of January 1, 2024. They're coming for you.
I had several questions yesterday after the show. One was, what is the average amount of time it takes to negotiate with the IRS?
Well, everyone's case is different. So it depends on what we're doing. There's installment agreements, there's partial pays, or sometimes you're comparing. You may have more than one option as well, and we have to talk about what we want to do. Also, how much do you owe, or your business, or are you compliant? Do we have to show documents or not? So it's all a crapshoot. Plus, how far backlogged are they? You know what I'm saying? And and what are we arguing about? Are we still negotiating? Like maybe they're not granting, let's say, for example, an offer in compromise for certain reasons on our information statement to them, the assets and liabilities. They're saying we're taking too much, so we're still negotiating that. I mean, it's like baseball or football. In the Fraser market, people say, "Why don't you just sign somebody?" Well, you just give them what they want, and you're signed in a day. You know what I'm saying? So if you want me to just give them what they want, I'll have it done for you real quick. But we want to do what's good for you, and also we have to decide. Like, sometimes you may qualify for an offer in compromise, and by the way, not everyone does, right? But you also may qualify for an installment. So the government is looking at it both ways, also, right? Okay, we're submitting an offer in compromise. Maybe they meet the requirements. They're getting this much money, but if we do an installment agreement under the collection statute, or the installment agreement goes 6 years the most, or the length of the CSED. So if the CSED is less than 6 years, then it'll be less, or not, depending on partial pay or whatever, which I'll get into in a minute. So they're analyzing it as well. So let's say you got X dollars for the offer in compromise and Y for the installment agreement. What's the difference? Now, obviously, if it's more, maybe the government wants the installment agreement, right? So maybe you're wasting time with the offer in compromise. However, how much more over 6 years? Is it worthwhile for them to monitor it? Plus, over 6 years, maybe you default, maybe you lose your job, all that kind of stuff. So there's a cost of maybe sometimes the installment agreement on paper may look on paper they're getting more, but they take the offer in compromise, right? And there's no like magic number. That's just something in an individual case. I would talk to our client and we decide which way we want to roll. Now, of course, if you try to offer compromise and it's turned down, you could submit it, installment agreement. But obviously, you only want to make offers that are going to be potentially accepted. You don't want to just make offers. I mean, all these national companies are probably, setting pennies on the dollar or settle, or we need to go with the master negotiators. It's all a bunch of BS. Just because you want to settle for less doesn't mean they're going to take it, right?
Right, exactly.
You got to show them why, right? And if you really don't have a why, you're wasting your time, right? So, but a lot of people have a reason why. Then
Kevin, one of the things your firm does is people, I don't think a lot of people know this, but if you're self-employed and you haven't filed for your taxes, say in the last 3 years, the IRS is going to take the gross amount. So you could end up owing a lot more because they don't have any of your write-offs at all, but your firm can go back and recreate the last 3 years. Is that true?
Let me explain. Yeah, so what you're talking about is if you don't file, sometimes they do an SFR, substitute for return, where they'll file it for you, which obviously the IRS is not going to be looking out for your
right.
So I mean, I have so many clients. I thought it 30 grand. What are you talking about? It's like, well, they're estimating it because no one's talking to them. So then you actually file the returns, and then you show maybe it's 5 grand, and they accept it, and boom, and maybe you don't need an offer, or now it's down to so little. But yeah, they without knowing it, they're just going to estimate it, penalties, interest, and it's going to be shocking to you. So I'm not a CPA. I'm not personally going to be doing your return.
Right.
I work with either your accountant or we have accountants. We could get you and help you become compliant. That's what your question was really getting at, because if you're going to submit an offer or an installment agreement or a resolution, the IRS wants you compliant. File the returns. And by the way, you want to file the returns. How much are we talking about? How are we negotiating debt? We don't know the amount.
Right.
So we don't want to start negotiating on their number when it's like, in my example, was 36,000 estimated, when it's really not, because what's the point? So you want to get your facts. It's just like being a lawyer. You want to get the facts of the case going on, know where we stand, and then you go from there with the IRS. And when you're finding out, it's like being a lawyer in litigation, the discovery phase, right? We'll pull the IRS tax transcripts, and basically it's like doing discovery and litigation, getting the file. What do they know? So the IRS says this much. maybe you're in the collection process over here. Maybe they have a lien levied or a lien or a levy, or they're about to lien you. So we could see what they're seeing and how desperate we are, or how fast we got to work, or because sometimes what we'll do is we'll get a power of attorney, submit to the IRS, and ask for a collection hold while we gather documents to submit something to them. And oftentimes it's not automatic. Maybe you're not in compliance. Maybe you jet them around, other reasons. But generally speaking, you have a good chance of getting maybe a 30-day collection hold, which, by the way, maybe could be extended as you're working with the IRS, because they want to work it out. They want to see information. It's like settling a lawsuit. You're saying, show me why I'm taking less money, or settling a credit card debt. Show me, not quite like that, because it's
right.
But basically show me, right? So you want to, and the IRS is happy to have a professional on the case, because now someone's talking to them, and a CPA or a EA, which is an enrolled agent, or a tax attorney who deals with IRS stuff, they know that we know what they know, basically, and it's the Internal Revenue Manual, and there's different programs, and the more experience someone's on your behalf working with the IRS, the smoother it is, because the IRS knows that we know certain terms and what's needed in the programs and stuff like that. Where if they're just dealing with you like by yourself, first of all, you're afraid, you're saying the wrong thing, you don't know,
Yes.
You don't know what you could ask for, you don't know the programs, you don't know the expense could be mitigated or something like that. So the IRS is really happy to have somebody.
This person who called yesterday after the show that hasn't filed in the last 3 years, how far back can the IRS go?
Well, I mean, the collection statute's 10 years, okay? And I believe they could go, but they go 6, basically, is what they do. I don't have the exact code section in front of me. I believe they're allowed, or on paper, or the rules, to go farther, but generally speaking, they really go 6 years. So we would just do the 6 years. Now, if you're you filed the return, though, okay, from the past, and you owe the money from the past, that's a different animal. You already filed, right? So now the CSED, the collection statute expiration date, is ticking, and we got to try to get you to the finish line. So, for example, if you were maybe looking at a partial pay, right? People, I can't afford that. I have no money for the IRS. I'm working. Well, maybe they have $200 a month. I'm saying, but they owe $100,000. That's like nothing, right? I'm just throwing out numbers here. So there's no way the IRS is going to take $200. Well, maybe let's figure it out. So what is the CSED? So it's 10 years, but maybe there's 50 months left of the 10 years. $200 times 50 is $10,000, right? Now we look at your equity and assets, and there's lower amounts and ways to lower that, right? Let's say, what's the equity could be realized, right? Maybe it's 0, so you got $10,000, right? Or maybe it's $10,000 in equity that you're going to keep, but it's in the pie. Now it's 20 grand, okay? You owe 10 grand, your full pay. You owe 100 grand, your partial pay, 20 cents on the dollar, right? Now, another reason why you need a professional, what happens if, while we're doing that, they see, well, you're going to have an asset for whatever reason come into your account in 2 years, but after the statute runs, right? They may want to have what's called a waiver, right? They may want you to say, you're going to waive, and extend the statute, right? And I want maybe to talk about that asset in 2 years. And maybe we're agreeing and maybe not, depending on the client situation, and we discuss with our client, right? Also, maybe, well, suppose you're making $200 a month, but it's only $200 a month. The statutes are over in 50 months, but you can still afford to pay $200 a month.
Right.
You don't have to. They'll still take the partial pay installment agreement, right? Because that's how it is. Or suppose you're gonna, make more money or something like that. It doesn't matter, right? So, they may ask for waivers on certain times, and maybe we're agreeing and maybe not. So there's all kinds of ways to skin a cat, so to speak. But
do they always stick to their word, Kevin?
Well, we'll have it in writing. Because with their word, it's like there's so many, especially now, there's so many new agents out there they're hiring that sometimes they don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So,
have you had to work with any of them yet?
Yeah, I mean, on the phone, right? So, right. And getting through the phone is a whole other nightmare. But
yes.
So there's some ways sometimes we can get through faster. There's different things we can do, or pay for services that get us to the front of the line if you're a lawyer. But otherwise, we're like everyone else. I mean, it's not necessarily rocket science what we do, but we're analyzing financials and statutes and taking you to the finish line, so to speak. But also, a lot of time involved just sitting on the phone with the IRS or talking to them and getting maybe an agent, or you're in the automated collections, or answer the phone and they don't know what they're talking about. Well, sometimes you just hang up, not on them, just say, okay, goodbye. You just call right back. And you get somebody else and they get what you're saying. So that's part of the game too. But now you're on hold again, or we are.
Right.
Okay? But that's what we do. It's like, okay, I'll just get somebody else. To an extent, depending where you are. Once.
By the way, you're very humble. You're a miracle worker.
Yeah. Well, and then if you have a revenue,
you are. I'm telling people. And you know what, Kevin? It's so important that people, especially if it's $10,000 or more, it's very important that you have somebody like Kevin representing you. And Kevin, not anybody, not any CPA or attorney can do this, can they?
That's correct. I mean, technically, you got to be a CPA, attorney, or enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is someone who's taking courses and passing exams with the IRS, so the IRS knows that they're good to go. CPAs, they don't always do tax resolution. Just being a lawyer, technically, you could represent somebody, but it doesn't mean you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
exactly.
If you're a personal injury lawyer, I mean, I'm nothing against personal injury lawyers, but it's like that's what you do. That's what you do. But you're not, you could be on the power of attorney, but what are you going to do? I'm saying. So, I mean, I'm a bankruptcy lawyer, but not all bankruptcy lawyers deal with IRS. I mean, we get referrals. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just deal with which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. We just happened to get into this years ago because our clients had the issue. And then, so you just started doing it. The next thing you know, you started doing more, and then you realize, hey, this is a whole thing here, and especially in this day and age where, again, the pandemic relief is kind of over, and it's getting back to full bore, and they got more money behind them and agents and more tools, and they're coming. So you really want someone who's tax lawyer who does IRS representation, or CPA who does IRS representation. And EA does, because that's what they qualify for.
Kevin, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Phone number is 312-489-8000. That's 312-489-8000. NobleTaxRelief.com. NobleTaxRelief.com.
And if you have a friend or a relative that's experiencing problems with the IRS, it really doesn't matter what part of the country they're in. We're talking about federal taxes now, not state taxes.
Right.
But give him Kevin's phone number, give him his website, and Kevin will be back with us again next month. And I've got to, every time I talk to Kevin, I've got so many questions, but I try to get your questions because I know your time's valuable. Kevin, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Steve.
We'll see you again.
See you later. Bye-bye.
That's attorney Kevin Benjamin. We're going to go to break. When we come back, if you've got a pain, I've got a remedy. Something that my friends have actually done in Texas with just unbelievable results. We're going to talk about stem cell. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Hey, good afternoon, Chicago. We're back here with more Ask the Experts. You know, I had a friend of mine about a year ago had stem cell. And there's all kind of stories out there about stem cell. But I got to tell you, it worked miracles for my friend. And we've been getting a lot of people calling him saying, why don't you do a stem cell show? And it was probably the best move we ever made. We've got one of the most incredible, practices in the Chicago area. The name of the practice is Chicago Stem Cell Therapy and Pain Management Institute. And let me welcome our expert, Alex. Good afternoon, Alex.
Alex is not here.
He's not on?
No, he's not here.
Okay. Well, I don't know what happened to Alex, but while we're waiting for Alex to come on, a friend of mine had low back pain, severe, and he started off with a chiropractor, and then he went to a orthopedic surgeon. And the reason why he went to the orthopedic surgeon was he was not getting any relief whatsoever. So, and you know, you people out there who've suffered from pain, you know, if you don't get relief, you look for anything. He was even willing to go to Mexico. The pain was so severe. Well, I got to tell you, he was so happy to find this amazing doctor. And just so happened he was in the same city. So he had the stem cell done. And, you know, we hear all kinds of things about stem cell. And lo and behold, he is doing so well now. And it's not just for back pain. There's a lot of different types of pain throughout the body that they are getting some incredible results with stem cell. Now, I don't know why our guest is not here. Rebel, why don't you run another commercial and let me see if I can reach them. Would you mind doing that?
I'll take care of it.
Thank you. We're going to...
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back, and I don't know, I just sent the link again for our expert to come on the show. It was actually, the doctor is actually sick today. So this was going to be a stand-in for the doctor. I just resent the link, Rebel. So we'll see if they get this probably in the next 5 minutes. But I wanted to go on telling people about stem cell. We got the most amazing results. And I got to tell you, if you have a pain and you've gone to orthopedic surgeons, maybe other pain management specialists, I'm telling you, you should try and really look into stem cell. It works amazing. Now, it's like anything else. Does it work on 100% of people? No, but nothing does. We had probably one of the finest weight loss doctors on our show this morning. And as good as he is, he'll even tell you nothing is 100%. But I got to tell you, if you've tried a lot of different procedures when it comes to pain and you haven't tried stem cell, I'm telling you, you are missing it. You got to try it. Just look into it. I don't want to be a salesman for stem cell, but after my friend went through it, and I knew the pain that my friend went through, and it was low back pain. That's usually, we have chiropractors on a lot of our shows
Your
across.
guest is here.
I'm sorry?
Alex is here.
Oh, good. We got our expert on, but I was glad that I got to. Hello, Alex.
Hello, how you doing? Good evening.
Good. I think I sent the wrong link to you, but we're all good now. Alex, I was just telling everybody. I was just telling everybody. A friend of mine had low back pain, had gone to a chiropractor, did not get any relief. Then he went to an orthopedic surgeon, no relief. He finally looked into stem cell. Voila. It was amazing. And, a lot of people don't understand stem cell.
Uh-huh.
And I just got through telling everybody nothing is 100%. But if you have a pain and you haven't gotten relief from it, they need to contact your office. Tell everybody about your practice.
Yeah, so first, my name is Alex, and I work in Chicago Stem Cell Pain Management. We're located in Frankfort, Illinois. Okay. One of the things that's unique about our clinic is that not only do we specialize in the standard treatment for pain management, if you go to a typical pain doctor, most of them just do cortisone injections, opioid medications, and physical therapy. But we go beyond that. We're trying to do something more unique. And that's something that's still in the infantile phase, and it's called regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine actually not only helps with some of the pain and inflammation, but it actually gets down to the root cause of some of this back pain, arthritis, joint related pain that our patients are having. And that's one of the things that we see a lot of patients, not only here in the state of Illinois, but actually across the country, who are just saying, look, I'm in my middle age, I'm still working. I've seen my uncle, my grandparents, they underwent all these surgeries, and it seems like their pain increased or it didn't help at all. So they've exhausted all of their options, and now they're looking for something new, something that's actually helping the quality of life for patients. And we're using a combination of things. We're using biologics that come from patients themselves, or we're using umbilical cord tissue that comes from donors. We want to see patients be benefited with this new regenerative medicine and the products that we're using for them.
So are you getting away from the name stem cell? Is that right?
I'm sorry, Steve. You cut off. You mentioned getting away from the name stem cell, and then you cut off there.
Yes. Yes. So now so is this the newest terminology you're using now?
So regenerative medicine is the big term, right? But under that, you have stem cell therapy, you have platelet-rich plasma therapy, you have many patients are doing ozone therapy. So it's a combination of things. Regenerative medicine is just it's the futuristic way of treating a new standard of practice. But under that is stem cell therapy, correct?
Now, let's talk about insurance. Does insurance cover this?
Unfortunately, no. We hope that down the road that insurance companies see the light like we do, but unfortunately, the insurance does not cover, and this is all out of pocket.
So, Alex, does that mean that most patients will only do the treatments that insurance covers?
At times, it's a 50-50, right? It's many of these patients that reach us, they've already undergone that type of standard practice with cortisone injections, physical therapy. That's all covered by the insurance.
What
Now,
do you think about?
they've
Go ahead.
exhausted all those injections and therapy, and now they want to seek something even more. So by the time they get to, so they already know what they want.
I got you. What do you think about concierge medicine?
Oh, I believe concierge medicine is going to be the future of patients wanting to see a provider. It's something that we're actually working on now at our practice because it's all about the conveniency. It's about the conveniency of seeing your provider at a time that's convenient for you, and not only that, but you want something done at the pace of yourselves that's not going to jeopardize your livelihood or take away from your jobs. We see, unfortunately, that's something that's still fairly new to the medicine. But if you want to be effective to your patients, one of the biggest barriers to healthcare is transportation. And if we can eliminate that barrier by bringing the physician to the doorstep of patients, you can really minimize some of the effects, the detriments of health that are going on across this country.
Alex, I've suffered from low back pain, and if a person has never had low back pain before, it's excruciating. Somewhere you can't even get out of bed. It's so bad, and I love what your practice is doing because now people have other alternatives as to treatments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Steve, one of the things is pain is subjective. Okay. We know that the pain that the patient tells the story, and we're here to listen. And we're here to listen to try to resolve what's going on. And we have a lot of new tools to identify where this pain could be coming from. But even more so, we now have the tools with stem cells to be able to fix the cause of the problem. Most of the time, you use a steroid and an opioid, and that kind of just masks the pain. It may help with the swelling and take away your pain for a couple hours, but it comes right back. No one's really doing as much as to fix the root cause. And that's what we do a little different here at our clinic. We want to actually help get to the root cause of the pain by using stem cells, which have been known in many trials and experiments to show that you can really repair some of the connective damage tissue that's causing some of these patients pain.
So, Alex, you got a wonderful website that people, and we'll tell people the address in just a minute. But there's a lot of people who suffer from back and joint pain, and I noticed on your website you do IV infusions. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes. So we do here at the clinic. We do IV infusions with the use of exosomes along with vitamins. Typically, we do 3 infusions 1 month apart. Now, IV infusions, the stem cell that we are using is a byproduct of a stem cell, and that's called the exosomes. Okay, the exosomes are byproducts from the stem cells that actually give a signal to damaged tissue, damaged cells in our body. So we have tons of stem cells from head to toe. Most of the time, they stay dormant. Okay, these stem cells stay dormant, and they need a signal to wake up and start the repair process. And unfortunately, that signal at times is under dire circumstances. But as we get older, the knowledge within our stem cells actually is depleted. So we have to wake up these dormant stem cells to get the repair process going. And we do that by either injecting locally with the exosomes or doing it through IV infusion. And if you do it through IV infusion, you can create a whole circulation of repair, not just locally, but across the whole blood system as well.
What about, how do you treat acute arthritis?
Yeah, so it's the inevitable disease that we're all going to eventually have at one point of our life. There is no cure for arthritis, but there are ways that you can help treat the symptoms and stop the progression. One of the things that we are using here is our stem cells, and we're using PRP. Those types of products have been known to help the repair process when it comes to connective tissue. So depending on if the arthritis is in your back, if it's in your hips, if in your knees, we've had patients who come in. We usually do a course of three injections, 2 weeks apart, with the use of PRP, which is your own plasma that comes from your blood. We'll use the amniotic fluid that comes from donors and umbilical cord tissue as well too. And after that, we monitor the patient. We monitor them to see how well they're doing, to see if it's improving their quality of life, to see if they're able to go back to work or go back to exercising. And that will allow us to determine to see how much relief and how much benefits they got from the use of stem cells. And so far, we've seen some positive impact that patients have had. Most importantly, they avoided having to undergo surgery at an early time in their life. And that's one of the reasons why they seek help for stem cells, is because they don't want to undergo surgery. And now we're putting more years on that joint or that back with the use of stem cells.
We have gotten 3, this is crazy. We've gotten 3 texts, and from 3 different people, and all 3 have the same question basically. What are your success rates with stem cell?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Most of our patients that we've treated, so you mentioned IV stem cells, we mentioned injections in the shoulder, in our back. So I'll tell you a story to those 3 messengers. I have a friend. He's in his late 50s, early 60s. He's a businessman, and he's also a construction worker. And I see him maybe about a year ago. And I asked him, he looked very distraught, like he was in pain. And I asked him what's going on. And he says that for the past several years, he's been suffering from left neck and shoulder pain that goes down his hands, where he can't grip a mug. or can't grab his keys. I said, well, what happened? He says, I underwent 5 back surgeries, 3 in his cervical spine and 2 in his lumbar spine. And I said, well, what does your doctor say? He says, well, he wants me to have another surgery. And I said, wait, hold on, another surgery? He said, what is that going to do? So he had an MRI. He says, let me get your MRI report, and let me consult with Dr. Anwar here at the clinic. We looked at his MRI, we evaluated. He came in. We ended up doing stem cells in his back, exosomes and PRP. We did 3 injections, and then we also did some stem cells, exosomes in his rotator cuff. That was over 1.5 years ago. Today, he's doing this. He's picking up his mug. He's back at work. Okay, so these are some of the patients that we've seen where he says, I'm not in any pain. He's off opioids. He's back to work. And those are some of the positive impact we've seen in some of these patients. Yeah,
That's amazing.
We like to hear these stories because, again, it's subjective. We don't know the pain that you're having and the relief that you're getting. So when we hear this, it's amazing.
So I want you to tell people something. I know the answer to this. So, we're down here in Florida, and we've only got a couple minutes left. I'll try to make this quick, but there's a lot of physicians in Mexico who are advertising here about stem cell. Tell people why that's not such a great idea.
Well, one, most of the time, if you go out to a different country, they have different regulations and standards. Not only that, if you get a procedure done there and there's a complication, unfortunately, you're going to have to go back there, because if you come here, it's going to be difficult for the provider to treat you because they're not going to know what they treated you with. And then secondary, when you have stem cells or PRP or any type of regenerative therapy medicine, there's a maintenance phase. Okay, a maintenance phase is going to allow you to continue to tune up on your joint or your back or your muscular pain. And you're not going to want to have that maintenance, having to go back to that country every 3 to 4 months in the first early phases. So there's a lot of misconception of thinking that you only have to go to Colombia or Mexico to get it done. We actually have many places here in the U.S. that do it.
Hey, Alec, we got to get out of here. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Yes, our website is www.chicagostemcelltherapy.com. And our phone number is 815-464-7212.
Beautiful. Great job today, Alex. Great job. Thank you so much.
Take care. And be safe out there in Florida.
Tell Dr. Anwar hello for us.
We will. Thank you.
And that's going to be it for us today. Rebel, thank you for all your help today, as usual. We'll be back with you next week with more of our experts. Have a wonderful week. God bless everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.